Thank you for joining us again for the Home Stretch Property Podcast with Ian McKenzie, and today we're joined by Perry Power. So thank you, Perry, for jumping on with us today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Perry Power is probably the coolest name in a estate agency.
I've been lucky.
Is it your original name? Have you changed it? Is it?
People ask me that all the time. No.
Really?
Apparently my mum was a fan of Perry Walters or something back in the day.
Yeah.
Like the name Perry, and my granddad's surname's Power. So I've just been really lucky with the name. And it's and I would probably suggest anyone starting their own business, I guess, maybe look to have a bit of a unique name. And if you have to change it, do it. Because I've had calls, literally, I've sold their house in 2010 or 2009. They're like, oh, I remember you when you sold my house when you were at Andrews. Because it's not like a Terry Jones. Like it helps, I guess, keep it memorable.
Part of your branding, isn't it? I mean, effectively,
Yeah.
It's part of your brand, and you've done very well with it because you've linked it into your offering.
So we want to learn lots about you, Perry. One of the first things I want to know is kind of your journey to where you are today. How did it all start for you in property?
I was 15, working as a Saturday kind of office skivvy, I guess, doing all kinds of making teas and all delivering leaflets when I was 15. Because from the age of 12, I dreamt of having my own estate agency. Bit of a mad story. My mum had a really poor experience when I was 12. She's a single mum. And I was like, I love property. I love buildings. I'm going to be an estate agent and do it really well. So yeah, 15 when I was at school, left school, straight into it. So I ended up going for a really small independent. So I hand delivered back in the day 50 CVs to 50 estate agencies when I was 15. And I ended up getting one bite, and they was like, yeah, you can join us. I think I started there full time when I was 16. By the time I was like 19, I was apparently their branch manager. I so wasn't a branch manager level, but they were just that kind of agency. And then I got headhunted because I was doing quite well to go and work for Goodfellows. And on the day that I was due to start, Martin, got a lot of time for Martin Humphreys, he was like, got a surprise for you. And I was like, I love surprises. What's the surprise? And he said, we're going to put you in the Fine and Country office. It's just about to launch. And because we think you'll work really well with Paul O'Shea, who was the branch manager there. Give me a really good understanding of the higher end of the market. I was probably 22 at this point, maybe, going out and valuing £1.5 million houses, £2 million houses on Gulfside in Cheam, South Cheam. And I had a really issue with my confidence because next door to Fine and Country was Christie's. They'd been around since 1930s, I think. It was ridiculous in Cheam Village, and it was quite a cliquey little village. And I was like, I'm not sure I can do this. I'm only 22, and they've been doing it for years and years and years. And Paul was really motivating and said to me, don't worry about how long you've been doing it. Worry about what comes out of your mouth. And what comes out of your mouth is incredible, and you can go and help these clients. That was that. Left there to strategically, because I knew I wanted to start my own estate agency, went to manage 0708, a big office for Andrews. Again, great time in my career with Andrews. Done really well there. And something happened there, which was the straw that broke the camel's back, which is when I was 2010, I set up Power O'Shea with Paul O'Shea. And here we are. Now I've got Power Bespoke. It's our 10-year anniversary this year.
Wow.
And I look 12 still. I can't believe it. And yeah, so it's been a mad roller coaster running your own business versus being an estate agent, particularly for someone that just wants to be an estate agent, but I want to be an estate agent the right way. And there was never really any companies out there that at the time, 2010, would kind of align with my mission, vision, values, and how I think agencies should operate. So I had no choice but to start my own.
It's not easy setting up your own business and running it, or being an agent in general. It's not an easy job.
I'm a sucker for my own ambition, I guess, because I actually want to list and sell, be the kind of leader from the front. Don't just sit in my ivory tower and tell everyone they've got to go and get 2%. I want to get 2%, show them how to get 2%. But I've also got a lettings team, a land team. We've got agents in the business. We've got a waiting list of 120 estate agents wanting to join as of today. Like, it's just, plus I'm a fourth child 2 years ago. So I kind of slowed it down a little bit whilst Arabella was born. But we're just starting, and it's been a rough few years for everyone. So So we reconvened, and now I'm ready to go again for the next 10 years.
So I've made some notes before I jumped on this call with you, before we started the call, Perry. And the first line I wrote was super cool, dash, modern agent with traditional values. And that's really the feel that because, you know, we've met before in the past, you're a guild member, we talk. That really is the thing. You're at the cutting edge of technology and evolution and customer care. And yet it is all about your values. And you mentioned your values in your previous call. How have you linked the two together in terms of being overt and proactive, yet with standards?
So to rewind a little bit, I think that's a really nice, I really agree and love everything you've said there, apart from the cool bit. So my 14-year-old, I'm 36 years old now, and I'm seeing some of these young guns come through, and I'm thinking I'm actually becoming not that relevant, which is fine because I like the innovation. But I like to call myself like a new school estate agent. I was so fortunate to get in on that small 2-office independent that would pay peanuts, and they would probably get monkeys most of the time. It was just so fortunate that I was so hungry to learn, and I learned how to do estate agency, how not to do estate agency, because some of the stuff that was why I got into it, and to see it happening. Mm-hmm. And then to rewind a little bit, I went to a big brand agency for my work experience, actually, when I was 15. And I was and bearing in mind, but I knew when I was 12 that I wanted to be an estate agent to improve the industry. And that reaffirmed, working with this big brand and seeing what they'd done, reaffirmed exactly why I was going to stay with this career and become an agent. But it's all about the technical expertise and ability that old school estate agents have got, mixed with the technology and the tools that the technology today is there to enable great estate agents to be greater rather than replace the great estate agents.
Because you and I have spoken many times about, so I didn't start at 15, I started at 17 on a YTS. So you beat me on that one. And I thought I was super cool in the early days. And now 36 years on, I'm still in an industry that I love. So
you're still definitely cool as well.
That's very kind. Very kind. Old school. There's a new app, isn't there, on your phones where you can just take a photograph and upload it saying old school. And I just look like I do now, which is, I'm not sure if that's a compliment or an insult. I don't know. So you and I've talked about things of the past. This is one of my obsessions, is what did we used to do in the olden days that is very relevant still? And that's the first thing. And then what is the new iteration of it? What's the new version of it? Is there anything that sort of springs to mind from yourself?
Just good quality. Like, I'm all about the negotiation side of estate agency.
Yeah.
Different areas that you can major in, I guess. You know, some major in property marketing, but they're crap negotiators. Some have average marketing and they're really good negotiators. Some major in local knowledge. I'm not a fan of that. I'm more negotiation ability. Like, everything can be saved with good negotiation.
Yeah.
Or clawed back, should we say? So just things like that. You know, building chains at the minute. We've gone forward to basics massively over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We're doing the best we've ever done with the least amount of agents we've ever had.
Yeah.
And that's really important for me, because I'm not an agency where, you know, every Tom, Dick and Harry can join, and if they do 50 grand a year, high five. Like, I want all the agents doing at least 200 grand a year, and I won't take on more and more and more until everyone's doing that or close to that. So yeah, just old school chain building. Your kind of hot box, I guess. You've got your CRM these days, but your local properties to sell, not on market. It's getting them out to them first, making sure your current clients are aware that's what you're going to do, not doing it behind the kind of back door kind of thing.
Yeah.
We just agreed a chain this week of 3. We've got 3 of the 4 links.
Yeah.
We've got another chain where we've got 3 of the 4 links, like just stuff like that to help the client, because it's better to have full control of the chain from the client's perspective, I believe. Not having to deal with another agent that you hope is good. And yeah, building.
It's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because if I'd been transacting in the last 18 months when we had a very hot marketplace, I would have had what I would have called internally Operation Local Market. And it would have been, I'd have put a house onto the market, and then I would not, under any set of circumstances, put it on the portals. until I'd launched it on Facebook. And the only people on Facebook would be local owned to sales, because that'd be Operation Local Market, is where we support the local people. So we were in Winchester as an example, Perry, no Winchester. And it was everybody was obsessed with the London market, the London buyers coming down. And yes, they had more money because properties were higher, they had more equity. But we used to really focus on selling to our locals and building change backwards, because we would control the speed of the marketing. And I just see agents that they get a house now, put it on the portals, and it's almost more important to prove to their oppos, to their rivals, that they've got a new instruction, rather than thinking about the business acumen of actually building a chain, helping out your customers, and taking control of the situation.
Yeah.
I don't know, do you agree with that?
Massively. And I think it depends on each client. So example, we had a house, literally, I rushed down there on Friday because Steph's on holiday, and she had a really good launch of a property that did go straight to Rightmove. And the buyer wanted to buy it, but they weren't on the market yet. So I did rush it to market and get it out to the masses quickly, because I needed as many inquiries as quickly as possible. Yeah. And it was agreed over asking price by Monday. But then I got another one today that's going to be low key for 3 weeks, and they're quite happy with that because I've got it photographed early. I've got another one coming on that I went to go and appraise last night, that they're going to get photograph ready so they can be market ready when they find out they like. And during that time, they're happy for me to do one-off low-key viewings. So I'll use that situation to build a chain, and the seller's totally happy with it. The problem comes when you're trying to say, yeah, I'll get you a cash, no chain free buyer, and then you're actually trying to build a chain behind the scenes.
Yeah.
All about integrity.
Yeah, it is. And it's about, so understanding the customer needs is what you've just said, first of all, and then your marketing strategy is developed around their needs, because if they need to go quickly, you need to go quickly. But it's about brilliant communication. That's what you're saying, isn't it? Talking to them about an individual marketing strategy.
And explaining that low-key sales, there's only two ways to get a premium price for your house. One is through fear of loss, which the low-key off-market approach does. Yeah. And the second one is through competition, which that does if you need to go to market. So as long as they understand that, then it's you're educating the client. So we ban the word valuations from our business, like quite strictly as well.
What do you call them?
Advice meetings.
Okay.
Because we're not there to value their house, because we ain't buying it. I really believe that. And we're literally sitting them down and giving them advice on how to get the best price. And nice. The conversion rates are great because we're literally, we take that approach, not arrogantly, or I'm not sure I want to sell your house yet. But it's very much, let me pop round and I'll talk you through how to get the best price when the time comes. And it ends up being, after you've spoken through everything, would you like us to do this for you? That'd be great, Perry. Thanks. Great. Let's do it.
So you're up against other agents. We all know that other agents buy the instruction. Two ways in which you buy the instruction is overvaluing or undercutting on fee. Sounds like you do neither.
Now, there's two types of overvaluing.
Yeah.
Intentionally and unintentionally. So I have for sure unintentionally overvalued houses.
Yeah.
But I'd only ever do that because I genuinely believe that that's the value that could be achieved based on factual, comparable evidence.
Yeah.
And I had one recently, 1.5 million. And I suggested offers over 1.5, maybe get 1.6.
Yeah.
And they almost laughed me out the door because two big top end brands, not sure if I can say them, but no, I won't say them. But they are your household top end brands.
Yeah.
Not Fine and Country, by the way. They said it was worth 1.3 million. So I was like 200 to 300 grand more. And I was like, I've had a shocker on this. I spent ages, like I allow like 3-4 hours for an advice meeting.
Yeah.
With the prep, the appointment, the follow-up.
Yeah.
And I was bang on. I got 1.55 within 2 weeks.
Wow.
Obviously, I'm being paid 2%. But they even said to me, but are you overvaluing it because you want double the fee? And I'm like, no, look, if I sell it for 1.3, pay me 1%. And that's all I'm worth. I genuinely believe I've seen something with your place that the other agents have missed. And I was bang on. There was nothing for sale within a 5-minute drive of Reigate town with nearly 3 acres. You got to drive out 15 minutes into the rural villages to get that. Right. So good story. I mean, but that could have easily been unintentionally overvalued.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. So how do you counter agents? You're live in the field. So I haven't done valuations for the last few years. I know how I used to do it because overvaluing is an age-old problem. It's been going on for as long as there's been agency. How do you deal with it? Is it just all about the advice? This is an advice meeting, and do you go through it with people, or do you present the price still by pinning the tail on the donkey? How do you do it?
So I never give a price, I guess. One, we don't call it a valuation. Now, it's my biggest bugbear when I'm seeing in my Facebook groups and stuff that agents are like, oh, F's sake, I've just lost this place to so-and-so because they gave a higher valuation. And I booked in to give them a valuation 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, well, there's your problem. Firstly, you've just called it a valuation. So you're framing the client to choose on valuation. I always give two options from a marketing perspective. So, John, you could go on at guide price 500, but my advice, given what's on the market at the minute, blah, 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 his offers in excess of 450, 460. So there's always a discussion to be had if they don't agree with your price. And the 500 might be the top end. Oh, that's what everyone else said as well. I was like, yeah, I can assume that because I know a lot of agents are going quite toppy, and you wouldn't look too much money at 500, but to get competing interest, multiple choice of offer, I suggest you go offers in excess of and take that strategy. So yeah, it's just a discussion around what's going to achieve the best outcome. I never give a valuation.
And do you feel that customers warm to that in comparison to the I think your house is worth blah, 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 sir or madam?
Yeah, I really think they do. And I can only speak from my experience, but I'm going into it with a whole different mindset. I'm not going in to value it and win the business.
Yeah.
Like we've got a 50% in living room conversion across the whole company, right?
Yeah.
And that's really important because if we're getting in the car burning diesel, it needs to go on the board. I think a lot of agents only base their conversion based on what actually comes to market within 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the appraisal. Yeah. And that's nonsense, I believe. Like, oh, no, they decided not to sell. You probably could have got them on low key or a mentioning authority and converted that because they were half thinking of selling. So we don't even allow them to sign there and then in the living room. People look at me and think, you're mad. What, you don't just get them to sign there and then? I'm like, well, no, because I want them. I leave it that I'll send you our proposal, sleep on it, speak to husband tonight, chew on it, and I'd love to help you move, and just sign our proposal when it comes through.
And then, and what tech do you then use to get the? Do you DocuSign it out, or what do you then do? Because that's probably where there's this traditional approach, really nice, and then you got some tech.
But yeah, the tech stack is unreal. So we use Salesforce CRM, custom made, which I rightly or wrongly spent an absolute fortune as COVID hit developing it.
Yeah.
And that integrates with a software called GetAccept.
Yeah.
Which automatically follows up your proposals. Arguably, it's a bit lazy, but I know at a brand level, everything's getting followed up by text and email for sure.
Yeah.
After an appraisal. If the agent does their job like they should, then that's just a nice additional layer.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's got it's just a really good piece of tech that you can send it on your iPads straight after the appraisal. We could do it there and then on here, I guess, and have them quickly check your emails and sign that. But we don't. I think it's nicer to have more of a relaxed, I want you to make an informed decision, rather than a knee-jerk decision.
What's your best ever sale in your? So you've been an agent now, what, 20 odd years, haven't you?
I look back and think, my God, 15, 21 years, isn't it?
21 years, that's crazy.
I guess the highest value sale was probably about 4 million when I was working at Fine & Country.
Yeah.
But my best sale with the best not emotional story, but the client was a 2.5 million off market sale for an old lady that was, it completed 2-3 months ago. But it was an old lady that was really scared about viewings because her and her husband had a 42-acre farm.
Yeah.
And everyone else was steaming in there with like, I'll get on Rightmove, we'll have loads of viewings. And they didn't actually recognise that the thought of viewings on a Saturday afternoon in her gated farm that no one ever visits and traipsing through her house was completely making her be really scared and not want to do it.
Yeah.
And obviously you sit down, you go through the why, what, when, where, how discussion before you look round. And I was getting the impression that she was quite nervous about the potential sale, but her husband was quite unwell and they had no choice but to move. So I knew I was going to be pushing our off-market, low-key, mentioning authority approach and not even talk about photography and Rightmove and viewings. And it literally, we got her a great deal, 2.5 million off-market, and with a 9-month delay completion, so she can find a bungalow to buy. It's unbelievable.
It's interesting. You always remember the ones where you've helped people the most. Well, I do. That's you do, I do. I can remember one of my favourite ever fee inquiries. I was 21 years old in Sidmouth, and I had my regional manager in, and I was a new branch manager. And a lady phoned up that sounded on the phone to be an elderly lady, and the call went, "Can you tell me your fees, please?" And I said, "Yes, of course I can. Firstly, my name's Ian Mackenzie. Our fees are," I didn't ask her a name. "Our fees are 2%, 1. I think I said 1.5% at the time." She said, "Thank you very much." I said, "Oh, before you go, please don't forget the VAT that you need to add on top of that." And I put the phone down, and my regional manager said, "That was the worst bloody fee inquiry I've ever heard." I said, "Wait 10 minutes." And sure enough, 10 minutes later, she called back and she said, "You're the only one that gave me a name. You're the only one that answered my question. You're the only one that mentioned VAT, and you're the only one that didn't hassle me for the business. Can you come and put my house on the market, please?" Now it was a judgment call, because I'd been trained by Countrywide or Hambro back in those days, and so I knew how to do fee inquiries. And it is really that perception, isn't it, in terms of understanding. And you talk about the art of negotiation. What's the motivation behind the stance is always the first key to negotiation, and it's you got to interpret the people that you're dealing with.
I think, yeah, and this is where I think the industry has still got a bit of a conflicting thing with what the industry wants and what the clients want.
Yeah.
But any other industry, they can go on the website and find out the fees. But now so we're quite obvious on our website, on our appraisal confirmation emails. It's all 2% plus VAT. Like, that's just what it's at. And it comes out in the wash at about 1.7 across the company. Yep. And that's new agents starting, building their confidence. That's me. That's everyone. So being secretive, I can't discuss that until I can come around and see you. One, we're too busy. If they're not really wanting to have a deep conversation with you, then there's no point in wasting your time.
Yeah.
And personally, I would rather go and prospect second-hand business than scrap for first-hand business.
Yeah. And the market's now perfect for that as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to tweak with the market conditions, I guess. And 18 months ago, you'll be silly to suggest a client builds a chain, because there's buyers are coming out of every nook and cranny everywhere.
Yeah.
But now it's gone back to that. I mean, I think the thing's gone mad the last couple of weeks. I think the spring market bounce, whether it's the spring market or everyone's thought, let's just get on with life. I don't know, but really busy.
Combination. I mean, people are pretty resilient, aren't they? They do just accept that things are right. There's one of my favorite graphs was given to me by Anthony Codling, and it shows mortgage transaction versus interest rates. And the UK all-time record is when interest rates were at 7.8%. Even when interest rates were at 15.4%, there was more transactions than when they were at 0.01 just after the global financial crash. We don't feel the pain anymore of trustonomics. There are some legacy issues with some inflation, etc., but you just sort of just tend to get on with it. And the data is very definitely showing that the market is a pretty robust vehicle at the moment. It's a good place to be.
I kind of got the feeling that people are thinking, can I afford it? Do I like it? I'll have it. Yeah. Like, it's not as detailed or thought process, particularly we're not selling all new homes, but yeah, interesting.
That sounds like my wife, that last sentence, in fairness. I just walked in and she's got some new shoes in the hallway. But hers is, can Ian afford it? Do I like it? I want it.
Yeah. Do I like it? Have I got his credit card? I'll buy it.
So if you were to give one piece of advice, or doesn't have to be one, a couple of pieces of advice to either a new start agent or agents that are struggling at the moment, what would it be?
Own your time.
Right.
And you see, like, this is mental, right? I've never achieved so much as an estate agent. I'm still learning the ropes and cutting my teeth as a business owner, but I've never achieved so much around now. And I've got most busiest things going on in my life. I've got 4 kids, I've got football training most nights. I've got ballet. I've got dancing with Freddie. I've got my own bit of tennis time once a week. And
what do the kids do?
What's that? Yeah.
And what do the kids do?
Yeah, I've got ballet on a Tuesday. And it's really interesting, because if I wanted to still succeed, and I listened to a podcast the other day and they were saying that Josh Fegan, actually, love Josh Fegan.
Yeah.
And I love Anthony Codling as well. The guy, I'm just absolutely, I could sit and watch and listen to him all day long. He's slightly freakish. And I did tell him this at an event, I think the Guild conference when he was last there. And he kind of looked at me funny for a minute, but I was like, no, honestly, I just find the way you deliver your data so interesting. And I'm a geek, but you're more geeky. I think he's happy for him to be referred to as a geek. That's fine. But yeah, own your time and be brutal with it. Josh Vegan was saying, look, how can a guy with 4 kids compete with a young 22-year-old with no kids? Like, the difference is my time is more, I'm managing my time way better than probably the 22-year-old kid because he hasn't quite got that life experience yet.
Yeah.
And I'm brutally structured with my week. Like, every Wednesday at 12 is tennis. That never, ever changes. Every Monday is client contact, and everyone's going to get a Loom video update with what's going on with their property sale. Every Friday is new client acquisition or content creation. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are appointments. And John McGrath, he was my David Beckham growing up. It took me a long time to get to this, but get comfortable with the word no. But when it's such, no, I can't do that now, John, but I can see you next Tuesday. They will wait. Are you going to not take your kid to swimming, or are you going to jump because the client said how high? And it sets the tone as to how you're going to work with that client moving forward. If they want you, they'll wait for you. Clearly not 3 weeks. But if I'm fully booked on my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll book him in for my first appointment the following Tuesday.
Perry, you and I are quite alike. People that know me and have ever worked with me will know that I'm obsessed with rhythms and routines, which is exactly what you've just described.
Yeah.
I'm just going to just go over it again for people. Monday is client contact, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday appointments, and Friday is prospecting new business. Brilliant.
And you see, horses for courses. So I say to agents when they join us, and it's all in the Power Agent program, that they get my templates, and I share my week schedule with clients on instruction. So they know on a Wednesday at midday I'm playing tennis, and it becomes a joke. Hi, Perry. Like, they'll message me and they'll be like, hi, Perry, I know you're playing tennis, but when you're finished, maybe we can catch up. Or I know I'm interrupting your family time. And you see, agents get really peeved when clients message them out. I've seen agents like, oh my God, it's 8 o'clock. Are they having a laugh? It's like, no one said you got a reply. They're probably not even expecting a reply. Just reply as soon as you can. That's all you got to do. It's not rocket science. And if you're relational or transactional agents tend to not get it. Relational agents are happy for it. I love to go through my WhatsApp sweeps during the day, sitting on the sofa, giving Arabella a bottle at 9 o'clock or 8:30, while I'm watching Diary of a CEO on YouTube or something. That's my kind of close off my daytime. The whole premise of being a power agent, I guess, is these 4 things: structure, discipline, focus, and consistency. You can be a crap negotiator, but if you're putting enough output out there, you're throwing enough balls, like what Jordan says, you're going to do better than the great negotiator that don't do it.
Yeah, and you are spot on. I can remember working with a lad in Winchester his conversion rates were pretty poor, but his effort was massive, and so the end result was a good result. And then it's down to the tutoring and mentorship to actually improve techniques, because if you can add volume and quality, then that's the utopic position, I guess.
So I'm learning that now. I'm really getting to that with our kind of not newer agents, but I'm starting to look at conversion rates, average fee, really helping them hone that.
Sales is all about ratios, isn't it? It's what are the important ratios that you tweak by 1 or 2% that actually make all the difference.
Yeah.
So that's quite an interesting one. I'm intrigued by your negotiation thing, because I've heard you talk about this a lot, that you're a master of negotiation, which I completely understand and agree with. Any tips? I mean, I know you don't want to give away the crown jewels because people might use them against you, but any tips in terms of where to look, books to read, or any techniques?
I really love the Masterclass by Chris Voss.
Yeah.
Like the Never Split the Difference.
I'm listening to that at the moment. It's genius, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm a nightmare. I've only got a very few sources of information. I guess that's one of my tips for people is you can't go looking for 20 different people because time is precious and you ain't got the time to do it.
Yeah.
So I tend to go deep on 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2 things, and just stick to that. So I really love Chris Voss, and I watch all his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Back to that the world's best negotiator. I think I am, but I might not be. But what I'm really hot on training estate agents with, or empowering them with, I suppose, is whenever I speak to them and I'm like, what's what's the one thing you are like the best in the world at? It can be doing a viewing, it can be looking after a client, it can be negotiation, it can be writing property descriptions. Like, that's the thing that you're going to leverage when you're trying to get your 2%.
Yeah.
That's going to bring you back to central. You know, my descriptions, John, generate a 10% click-through rate and inquiry rate, which that's unheard of with online marketing and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, but the negotiation, we've all done our Power Bespoke agents all have to become certified advanced negotiators.
Yeah.
Love that. That's a real differentiator with clients. And yeah, that's the one thing, because we help on the sale and the purchase. That's the main value add that we're going to bring. We're going to sell your house for 3% more than the average agent and save you 6% off your onward purchase. Now that can be 37.5 grand.
And that is a really, really important point. Please don't judge me by the fee that I'm charging you to sell your house. Judge me by the overall transaction.
Yeah, well, look at that example. I've just charged them, 2% of 1.5, so 30 grand.
Yeah.
They could have got it for 15.
Yeah.
I've got them 200 grand more than the other agent valued it at.
Yeah. Cheapest agent is the agent that gets you the best price. All the lines, but actually you're bringing it to life. So many.
A lot of agents can put it all over Facebook and, you know, say it to themselves, and they're still gaining at 1% because they're scared. And I get it, like early doors of Power Bespoke. And I'm still saying to the agents that come into our business now, like, it's going to take time. Don't, just because you're not getting 2% tomorrow. And I think a lot of them feel like we're the secret pill and secret shortcut to kind of, you know, Perry does it. It's been 21 years doing it to get the level of confidence that I can deliver it with a straight face.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just get to capacity first, get enough clients, get to capacity, which I think in this market, depending how your model is kind of 8 for sale, 8 in the pipe, and edge up your fees. Does it matter if you're going to lose a client? We're not the mindset that you've got to win everyone. You've got to win the right ones, and you've got to win enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good philosophy. Holly, what have you heard?
I've heard that, I think a lot of people, Perry, would think, oh, Perry does it differently. Perry's the kind of anomaly, doing it kind of this modern way that no one else is doing it, but actually you're just doing what everyone else does, but really, really well. What all the good agents are doing, but really well.
What's interesting, we're all doing it from our home. Like, we're a work from home model now. I've got nothing. We're quite proud about that, because we're all our team, we're experienced. We've all got families, quite a lot of young families. And we're doing it. What I find most remarkable is I used to be scared to tell people we haven't got a high street shop. Like, then it become all right, and it's fine to work out of a serviced office. Then COVID hit, and it's just become the norm. Like, but we do it. It's really interesting. Yeah. Because it ain't important about your shop if you're good at negotiation. I get it. Some agents might need the flagship in the high street to compensate for where they're probably not as strong where they should be. I'm not saying we'll never have a shop. I've got my eye on one, which actually was on an A road, and it'll be really nice one day if it comes off, but it's not a necessity for our business model. And we're selling stuff from South West London, Clapham, Battersea, Tooting, down to Brighton. So where do we put a physical presence? Don't really know.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you're doing exactly how you want to do it and the journey that you have in mind, rather than what people necessarily think that is the right way and the traditional way to do estate agency. So with Power Bespoke, you said you've got 120 agents. Is that waiting to come on a program, did you say?
No, so they've joined our waiting list to become partner agents of Power Bespoke.
Right. And how does that all work?
So that's across the last 3-4 years. We just literally, people saw, I think, what I was doing as an agent and with Power Bespoke. So I just stuck a waiting list on the website and thought, I wonder what would happen if I put a waiting list. Like, most businesses' problems are recruitment. And because I weren't recruiting at that time, I just thought, let's do a / join us page. And yeah, we've got, as of today, about 118. Just this year so far, I've had 15 join the waiting list, but we're not recruiting still. It's like the best problem to have in the world, that we've got potentially really good people that are wanting to join us, but we're not recruiting until probably the end of next quarter. And yeah, that's just become a Power Bespoke agent. Some of them are currently at other self-employed partner models, but again, we also employ estate agents as well. So we're not like the world's going to go self-employed. we've got both models running, and it just depends on the person, how they want to operate and how they want to be remunerated. And then separate to that, obviously got the Power Agent program, which is an online platform and course, and that it's not even a course, to be fair. It started out to be a course. I mean, it launched. Now it's become a bit of a like community of just, there's about 120 agents in it now, I think, and they're just the misfits. They're the ones that look at it differently. Like, to be part of it, you can't do a 12-week tie-in, otherwise you ain't getting in. Like all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was doing a load of research on you, Perry, before we came on here. And the things that you offer, there's so much that you offer to agents to learn from you and to kind of obviously become part of Power Bespoke. There was another thing I saw online, the Vault.
So that kind of houses the Power Agent course, but it kind of started out as a like free resources, like a free online course for home sellers on how to sell your house for a premium price. Like, we've got the A to Z to sell your house, and it's mad. Like, people do join it for like £12. I could make it free, and there's like free sections, but I'm a massive fan at the minute of free has no value. Like, unless you've invested something, whether it's time or money into something, hasn't got much value. So, but what you said is right, really right. There's a lot that I do because I'm on this crazy madman mission, and over the last couple of years, I've had to major in my own estate agency a bit more, especially with the fourth baby. And we do a yearly boot camp, which I'll keep running those with my coach Royston, but I've not been pushing the course so much as because it's a bit of a nice to have add-on. My main day job is running and growing and my own estate agency.
That was going to be my next question. If you're scaling down slightly, and possibly the last question from me, what's next for you? Is it, as you say, scaling and growing and just being better?
Much of the same, really. Yeah, like, I've really enjoyed being quiet on the whole self-employed model over the last couple of years, whilst everyone else is talking about it. And to kind of regroup has been really important to us. What do we want? 20 average agents or 10 great ones? Like, and I'm more in that 10 great ones. So that's what I'm focusing on. And whether they're employed or self-employed doesn't matter to me. We've got some that want to be employed, some that want to be self-employed, some that want to start employed to merge into self-employed. It's about the person.
And that creates branding in its own self, Perry, doesn't it? Because if you think that the other, I won't name any, but other self-employed models that know that they're bringing in 4 people and only one's going to succeed.
Yeah, so we've got a no recruiting rule for 12 months. Like, prove that you're good before you take someone away from their livelihood.
Yeah.
And many of the people I'd see so they join the waiting list, they've got to fill out an agent questionnaire, and I see where they are currently and have been for quite a while, and it's sad a lot of the time. It's with the American models, it's the 80-20 rule in full motion. Only in the UK, with that mentality, you're probably taking someone away and burning through their life savings. So our model's quite different in that we support financially and physically, rather than just take 70% of the fees but 100% of the risk. The risk is on both which I think a partner agency should be.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. So if people want to join that waiting list, where do they go?
Well, crazily, if you Google self-employed estate agent, we're right up there. Now, I kind of taught myself SEO back in the day, and I thought, well, let's flick this waiting list up and I'll optimize it for self-employed estate agent, because at that point I was really into it's going to be the future.
Yeah.
I think it's less so going to be the future because of the way it's currently being handled in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame because it could have been such a great thing. But yeah, Google self-employed estate agent and third organic is Power Bespoke. Join our waiting list. Quite mad.
Very good.
That's a good advertisement in itself, isn't it? That you've got the skills to kind of get yourself out there and get you on
I'm
Google,
just a right hermit. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't socialise. If I get my 12 o'clock tennis in once a week, I'm in this office most evenings and I love it. You know, like, I think I've done the talent dynamics thing, and I'm definitely, believe it or not, quite an introvert until you get me onto this subject, and then I can't shut up, which is how I can stand on stage and not feel nervous at all talking about what I know. Put me in a pub with a load of people I don't know and I crumble. It's mad.
Well,
That is
guess
brilliant.
what? They're exactly my type of people. I think I can relate to that. So thank you so much, Perry, for coming on today. I love your ethos and your values and everything. Sounds like you're doing exactly what you want to do and doing a really good job of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Perry, thank you. Fabulous guy, fabulous
Pleasure to
agent.
you always.
A pleasure.
Thanks, Ian.